Well, today is part two of the Royal Arch of Freemasonry, and we're going to talk about Jacob's Ladder also in this part two. I'm going to show you some hidden things within the Royal Arch. If you've seen part one, I went through the zodiac here, any of the constellations dealing with the Royal Arch. This time I'd like to talk about some hidden aspects of the constellations and astronomy concerning the Royal Arch. First, I'd like to talk about a couple of constellations one constellation I talked about before, and that is Taurus. But I'd also like to talk about serpents. Now, Libra and serpents and Ophiuchus here are, I think, tied together. I said Libra was the pillar of wisdom, and Aries is the pillar of beauty. Well, I didn't make this link before, but Taurus could also be considered beautiful with the mythology of Europa and Zeus. The white hide of the bull with its metallic horns was considered beautiful. So that could be hidden in this part of the sky, and this pillar of beauty could also represent Taurus to the Freemasons. On the other side, Libra, I said, was the pillar of wisdom. Well, in many cultures, the serpent here was considered to have wisdom. Okay, and Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, and serpents are all one. Well, they're two constellations, but they are also linked together here. They put serpents, the top half, on one side of Ophiuchus and the tail on the other half. Ophiuchus, being close to Libra, is a large constellation. The presence of serpents in this position is no surprise. Many cultures have revered the serpent as a creature possessing wisdom. Even the golden serpent from the Garden of Eden was shown to possess wisdom in the tempting of Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge. The connection of the serpent to the tree of knowledge alone is enough information to allow me to link the symbolism with wisdom or intelligence. So, Libra wisdom, Ophiuchus, and serpents wisdom. Also, on old star maps, Ophiuchus is represented as the revered man, having both hands clenched in the folds of a great serpent, which is withering in its grasp, with its head close to the crown. This is Corona Borealis. Okay? Even the serpent is often said to be licking the crown with its tongue. Okay? That's how close they want to say. The serpent is very close to the Corona Borealis. The crown he is referring to is the constellation Corona Borealis, the Northern Cross, or Northern Crown. Corona Borealis has 7 stars, and its alpha star is called Alpheka. Okay, alpha meaning 1. I believe this represents the Hebrew word alpha, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The crown also represents Kethar, which is the highest level on the Rosicrucian tree of life. This is the goal of every Rosicrucian, to be at the point of Kethar. Okay, so we have a snake representing wisdom, and we have a crown at the top here with the serpent and wisdom in Rosicrucian. So when you are enlightened in the Rosicrucian order, you are considered to have wisdom as you gain enlightenment to the top, and that'd be Kethar, the crown. I'd like to talk about that again in a few minutes here. It's also interesting to note that Ophiuchus is, in effect, the 13th zodiac sign. There are actually people, the sun passes through here very closely, through the sign of Ophiuchus. It could very well be the 13th zodiac sign. There are people that are born under the sign of Ophiuchus. So it's not. We only have 12 zodiac signs, but Ophiuchus could easily be the 13th. In mythology, Ophiuchus is identified as the healer, Aesculapius. and he is the son of Apollo. His connection with snakes is attributed to the story that he once killed a snake that was miraculously restored to life by a special herb placed on it by another snake. Some believe the herb mistletoe, which was believed to have special properties back then, or the bark from a tree that was associated with making aspirin. Asclepius subsequently used the same technique to revive dead people. Snakes are the symbol and rebirth, a symbol of rebirth because they shed their skins every year. Those in the healthcare field also might want to pay attention. Ophiuchus is identified with the god of medicine. Some believe that Ophiuchus and serpents represents the cartouche, the staff intertwined with two snakes that is a symbol of a physician. To know also an Ophiuchus with a Rosicrucian theme here, the supernova of 1604, also known as Kepler's supernova, Kepler's nova, or Kepler's star, was a supernova located in the right thigh of Ophiuchus. This supernova, the most recent supernova in our galaxy, Kepler's star was brighter at its peak than any star in the night sky, with an apparent magnitude of negative 2.5. It was visible during the day for over 3 weeks. The first recorded observation was in the northern Italy on October 9, 1604, by Galileo. The Rosicrucian viewed this supernova along with the supernovas of 1572 in the constellation of Cassiopeia and 1600 in Cygnus as a sign of importance, bringing on the Age of Enlightenment. So here's a serpent, again with wisdom, has some background in the medical field. Ophiuchus as physicians, with the cartouche, with the snakes entwined on the staff. Okay, so here we go. Wisdom. Doctors, physicians, serpent wisdom, gaining wisdom to Kethar in Rosicrucian. So that is wisdom. Let's talk about Hydra. Hydra is another serpent you could relate to with enlightenment or wisdom. Okay, this Hydra constellation is the longest constellation in the sky. It was first recorded back in the 2nd century by Ptolemy. It is one of the labors that I've talked to in part 1, where Hercules had to kill the 9-headed Hydra. Now the story goes when Hercules fought the Hydra that had multiple heads, they have one head that was immortal, and as soon as he would chop off one head, 2 more would grow. So what they did was, as soon as he chopped off one of the heads, he would burn the end, cauterize it, and so it would not grow back. And finally, when he got to the mortal head, he cut it off and burned it and buried it under a stone, so that would never be found. So that's one of the mythology with Hydra. Also, Hydra has also been associated with the Garden of Eden. This snake, where it protected, came down from the tree of knowledge and talked to Eve, and it was also protecting the golden apples from the tree. Okay, so it would wrap around the tree, and it's supposed to be protecting the golden apples. The second legend of the water snake, it has to do with Corvus, the crow, and Crater. Now, one astronomer back in the day, before in Christian time, pictured this as the Ark of the Covenant. They combined these 2 constellations to make the Ark of the Covenant back in Christian's time. Hydra is, like I said, the longest constellation. It does resemble or represent wisdom. There's a pointer here for his head that's shaped like a triangle. Okay, this is pointing towards the constellation Gemini, and you see Canis Major here, also a dog pointing towards Gemini. I believe that this is the duality of Gemini in Freemasonry. This is the gaining of wisdom to join the two opposites together. They're conjoined at the end. This is what Freemasons want to do. They want to be one. And these are the opposites being one up here. So I believe that this is important to the Freemasons in this. I also believe that this is Jacob's ladder. Now the story of Jacob's ladder is where Jacob was on traveling, and at that time they'd used stones to prop up their bed, and actually he laid his head, he got one stone, he laid his head onto this Bethel stone, and this is when God came to him to show him the ladder of that one end was on earth and the other end's in the heavens, and the angels were going up and down the ladder. I believe this is symbolic of Jacob's ladder in the Royal Arch. So this is where the angels were going up and down, leading to Gemini. Now, I've talked about Canis Major as the gift to Europa from Zeus. I have talked a little bit about Argos, Jason and the Argonauts, and all his expeditions. One was the Golden Fleece. It's also been represented also as Noah's boat from the Great Flood. That's always been symbolized or represented in that way. So let's show you something that I think is hidden. This is one serpent going up on the Freemason side of things towards Gemini. But I think there's another one. Just 8 hours later, serpents and Ophiuchus take the place in here. Okay? Sextans right here is important. This is a Johann Hevelis constellation. On Oak Island, there is a triangle, stone triangle on the south shore. If I was standing on Oak Island on the east side, let's say the Money Pit, you'd look south and you would see sextants. This would line right up with sextants in the sky and then on the ground. Okay, so that's kind of neat as an Oak Island type of reference if you're familiar with Oak Island at all. So let's go 8 hours more and see what takes place. 8. Why 8? Well, 8 is considered the dominical number, and it relates to Jesus Christ. In fact, the Bible has the number 8 all through it. Christ was resurrected on the first day of the next week, which would be the 8th day. There's many references. The number 888 is in Greek gematria is considered all the names of Jesus Christ. All were associated with the number 8. So 8 would be a very big religious number, definitely to the Rosicrucian and Freemasons from the Bible. So let's go 8 hours later. Okay, now the sun is to the south. This is the winter solstice, by the way. A few constellations. I'm going to show you that here's serpents replacing Hydra, but now it's the crown. This would be the Rosicrucian side of things. Okay, this is another serpent with wisdom moving up to the crown. Now, the Alphecca, there are 7 stars in Corona Borealis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 3rd one. Now, typically in Freemason, there are 7 steps or 3 steps. 7 steps as you go higher levels of Freemasonry, but 3 are in the operative side, in the Blue Lodge. Okay, But this is definitely a smaller ladder. Could be 3 steps, I guess, where Hydra would be more of the 7 steps. But you can see how this is the 3rd star from the right. Okay, the 3rd star, even though they have 7, that could represent the 7 steps. And then there's one with 3 right here. Okay, so I don't know, maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't. But this is the wisdom of the serpent going to Kethar the crown in Rosicrucianism. Okay. Also, I'd like to point out a few constellations down here. Here's the cross, or here's the square and compass, Norma and Circinus. These are Freemasonry constellations which I brought about in the part 1. Now these 3 constellations with telescopium, okay, now when this is, you can see this is below the horizon. This is below the horizon. If you were standing in the north, they never reach the top of the above the horizon. They never do. So they'd be hidden below the horizon. Okay, and I just LaSalle is in 1756. These are 3 of his 14 constellations that he has in the sky. Okay, he developed these, and this also, the microscopium, is also one of his. But square and compass, telescopium is, I think, telling them to look here. Look, or it's somehow lining up. It's telling you to line up directly south. Square falls right on this line. Okay, and telescopium does too, just 2 away. So I think it's important that he put these constellations in the sky for a reason, to point this out. Hidden, something hidden. Okay, so the serpent, we have 2 serpents. We have Hydra in the other setting, and then we have serpents here reading to Kethar the crown. Okay, also a really weird thing. Like I said, I went 8 hours difference. Okay, but what happens if I go 4 months? It goes to the same spot. Exactly the same spot here. Okay, 4 months is equal to 8 hours, I guess, in time, whatever. I don't know why that is, but I find it interesting. They're multiples of 4, 4 and 8. So if I go back 4 months, it goes right back to that same spot. Okay, Pollux is this constellation up here. He's the immortal one in Gemini that I talked about. That is replaced exactly with Kethar, or the Alphecca, the Alphecca constellation, or Alphecca, the main star in Corona Borealis. It replaces it exactly within a degree, just 8 hours later than Pollux. If I go back, Pollux is right here, and it replaced within a degree. So I thought that was very interesting. So that's part 2. I'm sure there's more that I missed, but that's enough for now. Thank you.